Last but by no means least for today's Counter-Strike, live from London for the FACEIT Major is going to be MiBR versus Mousesports. A slight snigger sneaking from my lips as I realize this is a 0-1 game. Both teams high prospects to make the top 8, neither of which has put in the performance expected of them. A slip up on Mirage versus NIP put the boys from Mousesports here, and Tai Lu, the Chinese side who have written history for their region live in London this week and of course the week prior, have gone and picked up that win versus MiBR. This leaves us in an interesting circumstance. I'll explain it all with my lovely analysts, but first, hitting you up on social media, you can do it. It's nice and easy. Hashtag FACEITMajor. Hashtag, that's a hashtag. Do it and let us know how you're watching and indeed who you are supporting for Mousesports versus MiBR. I'll be asking these fellas, Sean Gares and Chad Birchall, hanging out.
Hello.
Hi. This is a weird one, right? I guess if you wanted to quickly recap everyone on how we got here, I guess there's not too much to be said other than not meeting expectations.
I think that the MiBR one is the big one, right? The fact that they had such a fantastic first half. They looked like, you know, tournament winners with that first half that they had against Tai Lu. And then we get onto the T side where they should be able to crack the code.
Right.
An individual should be able to step up and win 1 or 2 rounds. Cold Zero did his best, but they just completely fell flat against a team who, sure, they've impressed, but shouldn't be beating the likes of MiBR.
Yeah, I guess the Tai Lu result does stick out more so than the Mousesports one, just because I guess Mousesports and NIP, you'd probably put them in a similar category, Sean.
Yeah, I would. I think Mousesports actually played pretty well that game. They lost a couple clutches. One that rings in my mind is the one where Lecker had like a 1-on-2 where Snacks peeked him in the B bomb site where he could have just played the bomb. So I think Mousesports definitely could learn from like a couple of mistakes there. MiBR's T half though looked pretty terrible.
I think if you go and you look at the stats from that Mousesports versus NIP game, between all 10 players in the server, it was so even, and there wasn't a huge disparity on who should have taken the victory, right? It was actually a super close matchup that's fallen in the favor of the Swedes, but it doesn't matter. We're here, and the Mousesports are ready to go.
Yeah, another super close matchup is happening in the talent predictions. We're going to quickly give you an update at the end of the day. Everyone's been casting their vote for who they think is going to take this one, and my goodness, it actually is super close.
I'm back, baby.
Oh, Chad's climbed from a 30% prediction rate towards the middle of the day, and he's back up on par with everyone else. Who's that other grumpy fella on the end? Is that Threat?
Yeah. Why are we so angry? Why come some people get smiles?
Threat's so disinterested. Why is he looking over to the right?
Henry's wearing... Oh, no, that's kind of like
That is kind of Henry.
Yeah, that is Henry.
Yeah,
right
they've made him a bit of a silver fox, but that's fantastic. Okay, so 73. So actually we have Dan now in the lead. We've got to get this prediction right if I want to stay competitive. As do you, Chad.
Oh, yeah, well, I can't drop any anymore. I need to hope you guys keep going for random predictions. Just keep going for the bottom of the barrel, and I'll just stay with the standard logical predictions like I always do.
Yeah. Yeah. Cold, hard logic. And Mousesports, logically, should be able to do damage at this event. They are a star-studded roster, but I need your help, guys, because I think I've lost faith in Mousesports since Snacks arrived. There's no bad-mouthing Snacks, of course, a legendary name, and of course we know what he can be capable of, but I just felt like they were on the right trajectory before, and now it's hard to see this roster look a little shaken.
It's definitely... Oh,
no, you're right. I was just going to say before it felt like they had a team that was looking, you know, with a lot of synergy, but that's kind of changed.
Yeah, it's definitely changed, and I don't really want to bag on Snacks because I lost to the man plenty of times in my career. He's an excellent player, and he can make huge plays like we just saw in that catwalk play, but yeah, something's just not there cohesion-wise on their T sides, I feel like.
Do you think, though, when you have the likes of Rob, Sunny, and Oscar, who are all playing current meta Counter-Strike, and the last time Snacks was good, like consistently good, was probably about 2 years ago, that he has some learning to do to actually be able to play well as an individual? Sure, you know, he was, when you look at VP, the star, but he hasn't been a star in such a long, on a consistent basis in a long period of time that maybe he's playing an outdated version of Counter-Strike.
It does appear like his version of Counter-Strike is a little dated. It's very get-right circa
Okay, now I'm intrigued. You need to expand upon this. What's 2013, 2014 Counter-Strike compared to what's happening now?
He was one of the original, I guess, players really exploiting smokes and weaponry, like in a JW sense of he was using, you know, shotguns, he was using the AWP in close range, he was playing around smokes, he was making life very difficult. But that's become more common. That's become, for the majority of teams, they at least have 1 or 2 players who are very good at that. He seems like he's getting beaten at his own game at the moment, which he has to learn from the players which he now has on his side, or go back and reinvent his game and try and approaching it in a different way, because he is skillful.
Because yes, from a a viewer's standpoint, it could be easy to say, look, Snacks is clearly good at putting the crosshair on someone's head and clicking. what could you possibly, how long could it possibly take to integrate him into a new style of play?
That's a great question. Look, you can see that there is a certain amount of plug and play with where Stico was playing before, and he's been put in positions that maybe don't give him that star potential. That needs to be considered as well. But when he is a guy who has to swing into bomb sites and then, you know, he's retaking, you want more, you want to see more from him. I don't think we've seen that just yet. And there's no doubting this team now has more individual skill across the board. It just isn't as good as of a team, and I guess that's what you're alluding to with you saying their T-sides, the strugglesome issue.
It could be the fact that, you know, he's not as comfortable as he was in those prime VP days. You know, we did see him, like you said, pick up the op a lot, whereas on this team, there's not much room for it with Chris and Oscar already on the team. You know, Snacks doesn't really get that kind of freedom like he once had.
Yeah, we have to talk about their opponents, MiBR, and they've given their fair share of freedom. At least they did to Ty Lue in that second half, and now it's time to see what this roster is made of. They made what to many was the most shocking change we've ever seen from a top-tier team in Counter-Strike Global Offensive history. They changed the language by which they communicate, a team praised for their synergy, communication, and team play. Removed 2 of their fellow Brazilians and moved into an international roster with 2 major-winning North Americans. It's a combo that has many eyebrows raised, but certainly has been a project for them coming into the major.
You heard of the 7-year itch, Alex?
Talk to me.
Well, that's like in relationships where after 7 years of dating, you kind of fed up with each other. I think that happens a lot quicker within Counter-Strike, and the fact that MiBR were able to keep a core together for such a long period of time attests to just how well, you know, these guys have been playing as a unit. The fact of the matter was, you could see at the end of last year, the start of this, that for whatever reason, some members of the team weren't on the same page and they felt a different direction was needed. The bigger issue is, this wasn't a clean divorce where they just went in and saw the lawyer and went, yeah, we'll just split everything up and get out of here. It took a long time. They had 2 roster changes, 2 very big roster changes, and then they even had, well, the fact that you were Bolt and you knew your head was on the chopping block. You're a disgruntled player stuck playing in a roster, and then you're changing organization as well. So not only did you maybe not get all the things you wanted when you left, you had to move house as well. Yeah,
no, absolutely. And I mean, this is going to be a question of how the names and how they pound for pound match up, but also just how much homework has been done. What map will we go to? So many unanswered questions. And the question I hear you right now is, what's the head-to-head, Alex? Well, I'm so glad you asked, and it's brought to you by the Predator, September 14th. It's Oscar and Fallen. We're going to the Zoom Bangers, the AWP stars of their respective rosters.
How do you feel about Oscar, Sean, in post-plants with the AWP? Because for me, it used to be like his best ability, and now I never get to see him doing anything cool with it.
Yeah, I think the same thing when I think about Oscar. I think of him in like a lot of crazy scenarios, getting close range, taking weird angles, taking aggressive peeks, in like mid or late game scenarios. And he just hasn't really had that work out for him. There's one round in particular against NIP where he's upping the B bomb site, and they're just jumping out the window. And that's a round where Oscar gets like 3 kills. Yeah. Maybe 6 months ago, and he only walked away with legging a guy, no kills. So yeah, he's definitely fallen off in that regard.
Trying to find his individual form, and actually a man on your screens right here has been regaining some of that form. We've been desperate to see from him. He was truly one of a kind players, Chad. It seems like this is your demo right here.
Yeah, so basically we were just going to highlight from that game against Ty Lue how aggressive he was with the repeaks, and this is just an example of how mobile he used to be and the fact that he wasn't scared to constantly pick. This came back during the Ty Lue match, not enough to actually get them across the line, but really fantastic signs for the trajectory of this team. This has given me confidence that they are headed back to a top 3 team in the world, because Fallen, I think he's a spearhead of this squad, and when he's playing like this, the calls follow. No issues pushing through smokes constantly. You're going to see he does it 3. He's happy to play through this smoke 3 times. Now, sure, it's off the basis of teammates' flashes, but this is super confident, and this is when I think the term combat AWPing really needs to come into fruition. Because look at this stuff, it's mental.
Yeah, that was him bouncing around on Inferno, and of course, that is a potential map for this series. Gents, what do you think? Put your thinking caps on.
Hard one, right?
I'm thinking it should go down to Mirage or Train.
Explain your thought process, because this isn't, but I'm bearing in mind, this is a best of 1. It's very easy to just get, you know, not know the inner workings of a team and step on a banana skin, but what are the obvious ones?
I mean, Mousesports isn't going to want to play MiBR and Overpass, obviously. MiBR probably doesn't want to play Mousesports. I guess
you know
both teams do like Dust 2.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we completely forgot Dust 2. And if the murmurs are correct, MiBR are apparently sick in practice on that map, which means nothing, but that means they like it.
I mean, dude, yeah, just the idea of seeing that double AWP from MiBR going up against the double AWP of Mousesports, respectively on their CT sides on Dust 2 could be fun.
Yeah, so Mousesports coming out with the Inferno ban right away. They're definitely going to ban Overpass 2 as well. This is where things get a little bit tricky, right? It could go Mirage, Train.
Mirage,
MiBR get the choice. If MiBR have a choice between Dust 2 and Mirage, they're definitely going to go with Dust 2. Oh, okay. It's between
Dust 2.
What are we forgetting? We always do this.
No,
There's only 7
fine.
maps, but we forget one.
Dust 2 or Train?
No, it is Train. All right, so I think the MiBR will go with the Dust 2 because the side doesn't matter, right? So Mousesports get to pick the side in this regard. If they go with Dust 2, they're not. There it is. This is super spicy.
I like this a lot.
This is actually, I mean, we hadn't considered it. I heard you guys kind of land on Train. That was the map you kind of had in your heads.
I was thinking Train on Mirage, the same as Sean. I didn't even really consider Dust 2 for
kind
whatever
of realized
reason.
it live in the veto process right there. That it was a possibility.
Dust 2. Oh, I'm so glad we get a Dust 2. And of course, I can't think of two better teams for a Dust 2 matchup like this. It's 0-1 as well. Don't forget, they're not going to be pulling punches. This is going to be both teams on their A game in a battle for survival.
Yeah, this plays into more the fact that we did highlight the AWPers of these teams, right? And they both have potent double AWP potential, actually even deeper than that, right? Yeah. Especially if you think about MiBR. Stewie has no issues picking it up. Obviously, Cold Zero does the majority of the secondary AWPing. Tarek has been known at times to grab that bad boy, and a similar thing can be said over on the Mousesports camp. Chris J and Oscar, and then Snacks can do it. So there's a lot of potential for this one to be a big green battle.
They also have some really cool things, MiBR, that like getting Fur out of long A with 10 flashbangs over the wall. He's running backwards into the pit, so doing typical Fur things, So I'm super stoked to see this.
Yes, and I'm sure there's two other people who are incredibly excited now. They know the map, they know the teams. Gentlemen, Henry G and Sadakis.
Is it a big green battle like Shrek or like the Hulk?
Ooh.
Probably like Shrek.
It's more of a Shrek.
Okay, I can deal with that. I can get behind that. That video game was hard, by the way. It was designed for children, and I hated it.
I remember when games came in cereal boxes. Remember that? Maybe just me then.
Same as my driver's license.
Sorry?
My driver's license.
We have that joke too. Yeah,
it is going to be Dust 2, guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're really going to enjoy ourselves here. It's a nice way to close the game out, or the day out, I think. It's going to be great. It's going to be two big teams along the line. Fast-paced map.
Your prediction, sir?
Oh, we've got to do that?
Yeah, that's the thing.
We have to do
All
that.
right, MiBR then, Alex. If you don't want to chat, it's fine.
I would. It's just I've got a guy saying, like,
Move on.
Alex, shut the fudge up.
I can be quick. MiBR.
Yeah?
I'm doing the same.
Oh, everyone's doing
MiBR.
this? Is this a thing now? Okay. All for MiBR.
It's not a thing. Mousesports.
Oh, Matthew. Okay. Coming in hot.
Yeah.
Okay, one for Mousesports from Sadakis. Sean, you've already said MiBR, and I think I'm going to have to join the MiBR brigade. I
I don't like you anyway.
I just don't think we're going to be seeing another slip up like that Tyloo game. They had full control of that and just got surprised by that Chinese CT side.
Well, we'll see. I think Dust 2 is kind of interesting because it brings kind of Chris J back into the fold. Obviously, not the primary opera on this team anymore, but a map in which he can double up extremely well.
Yes.
He loves playing on the A site with the op. We know the op's formidable, and we know that I think Oscar, head-to-head with Fallen, consistency-wise, has been better off.
Yes, this year certainly, but the last month, Oscar's certainly dropped off. Fallen's on an upward trajectory. He's looking much better.
Could you say he's an upcomer?
He could be, Matthew. I see where you're going with this one. What were you going to do?
Upcomer.com, download it, iOS, App Store, or Google Play. Get your votes in. Right now, everyone's on the MiBR. You know what? I don't mind. I can go against everybody. Let's go Mousesports.
Indeed. Mousesports definitely got a shout in this one. Just to be clear, you get the latest stats and scores of upcomer.com.
Yes.
So make sure that's what they do.
Sorry, I didn't want to fully interrupt you, so I'll go back to you now.
So there it is. I think it might be art. I just feel like they have got more firepower for me. With this Snacks edition of Mousesports, it hasn't really excited me that much. If it was the one with Sticker, I'd be saying, yeah, I'd probably be with you. This
It's a good point. Yeah, they haven't had the same success, have they?
I really haven't been sold yet. I don't know what this recipe really means. You've got too many star players now, and you don't have enough people to fall back onto. And Snacks doesn't seem to be really going to the role efficiently as we were quite hoping for. I'm not sure. But either way, ladies and gentlemen, this could be one excellent game. I love Dust 2. It's my favorite map to cast.
It's
very
the Big
exciting.
Ben and Snacks has a pen. Doesn't quite work the
Big
same,
Ben,
does it?
Work on it.
I'll get back. No, I can't because it's under scaffolding for like the next 2 years.
It is
or
kind of
3
ugly
years.
right now.
Yeah.
Not ideal. Either way, Sunny, he'll be in towards lower B. There's the Xbox smoke, and Sunny, he should be able to get at least one here. Doesn't quite connect the headshot, but it has to fall back.
I'm surprised he gets away with that. The Xbox smoke actually allows it. They couldn't continue to fire into him. They'd also gotten good damage onto Oscar, which pushes them back down catwalk. So now Tarek made in America can start to take over Catwalk and get a little bit of stance for MiBR to work with. Sunny did well to get away, all things considered. Smoke will now cover off his vision once more, accompanied by a flash in which he read that he's got the wide side of the smoke, which means he's got Stewie. Somehow they overlooked that position, didn't anticipate it at all, and Chris J and Oscar come to blows on Catwalk with Tarek and Fallen successfully for Mousesports. They'll now be up 5-0. Wow. Snacks and Rops. Was that a team ace? It was. All 5 players getting a kill.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. One thing I will say about Dust 2, I've watched a few games with Snacks on this particular team. He is actually very strong on the ace side. On Dust 2, one of the maps he actually looks pretty decent on, I would say. So Mousesports could be able to steal this one away. Definitely going to be a close game, I think, anyway. Can't believe this could lead to a 0-2 situation, though. We've got FaZe waiting down there in the doldrums right now. And another team could be joining them as well. Exciting stuff, and it will be the force buy from MiBR. Deagles sees as 1 PT50 for Fallen. He is a bit more conservative, obviously wants the orb going forward. Snacks will be deploying the incendiary. So on the A site, he normally does this. He'll smoke the later stages, then play up close. Even with the M4, he'll get right up to those doors and try and listen out. He sometimes jumps on the barrel to create a sound cue and try and bait them out. But this is very, very classic for him. Oscar going to be baiting Chris J, wants to show as much presence as possible, fall back towards spawn. And Snacks, as usual. To be fair, if I know it, MiBR know it. They're going to be checking these angles. But Sunny is there to back him up. You can see them just checking that straight away, taking him down. Maybe a little bit too obvious at this point.
Backs away, though, on the M4 toward the car. So Snacks gone. Sunny does ample damage. Tag down to 59 himself, has Oscar to support. Chris, meanwhile, out toward middle, needs to be effective in collecting Tarek, does so with the MP7. Play much with the MP5?
Yes, I did. I spent 2 days grinding it out.
Just with the MP5?
Yeah, on like casual servers, the only way you could use it. I actually really enjoyed it. It's quite sentimental, but at the same time, it's just a slightly weaker MP7 with a silencer.
It always was. The statistics from 1.6 even showed that, and everyone was like, "Oh, bring it back! It's so great! It's so great!"
It was a lot of fun. It felt different. I don't know what it was because it was a different meta in general. It was like you could play anti-eco rounds very effectively. You didn't really take them over to gun rounds though. It was normally just a round 2 and 3, and then you get rid of it. Ooh. Wow, that's not bad from Sunny. That car position proving to be very strong these days. Pretty much clean sweep there from Mousesports. Gave 1 kill away. That's Snacks going down to Tarek. But remember, they knew what he was doing there. Like I said, if I'm aware, then they certainly are of his tendencies. So it will be 2-0 MiBR now with the full eco. Not really much they can do with this round. There's Tarek and Stewie. The current major champions, I should add.
Yes, they are, having transferred over from Cloud9, one of the many changes we've had since the last
players,
major.
Just to be clear. But yes, came from Cloud9, now part of this Brazilian project. Yanko now signed as a coach as well.
Yeah, our boy, formerly the analyst, now the coach standing behind them. A big change in his career and line of work. Pretty cool.
It's so cool and bizarre at the same time, right? Someone going from a broadcast role right involved to the coaching side of the game. It's certainly a cool thing. But this should be quite a simple procedure now as Chris J, very proficient with the MP7. I'm a bit sad the MP5 didn't make it to the major.
Yeah, it would have been interesting for them to try and inject that into the major just for the hype around it and whatnot. The Snacks collects out on Tarek. But it is not to be. Cold, Fallen, Fur, Stewie, Tarek. The only lineup in existence currently that has 5 major champions on it, however, never teammates in doing so.
Yes. Okay, yeah, that's a good point.
It's kind of an interesting point. Kind of gives you the state of things.
Yeah, no, exactly. It shows you exactly that it's just been such a strange year in terms of roster transfers and people. I think obviously a lot more money being involved is a big catalyst for it all, and some of the huge transfers we had, but some crazy teams now available in the CSGO landscape. Either way, AKs are out. Fallen's actually got Galil. So he was saving for the AWP, remember. He actually took a conservative second round, but I guess the lack of utility and the lack of success with no plants means they've had to take a few compromises here. Sunny, such a strong aim up. Happy to hold positions by himself and get multiple kills while doing it. You'll see him towards CT spawn and especially short. Watch out for him there. When they change their setup to a more short focus, he is very good at playing behind those steps right there. So let's see how this transpires. A execution's very viable still. The meta and execution hasn't really changed on Dust 2 ever since the beginning. of CSGO. Those executions towards the A site are still ringing true today. B splits are still a big part of the game. And
yeah, it hasn't changed the meta much, this
no,
makeover.
It really hasn't. There hasn't been any revolutionary strategies or tactics implemented from what I've seen so far. Maybe we'll see a few more at this event. People definitely working on it.
Fallen. Back off, so too. Sunny on the other side does the same behind the smoke. Cold Zero still waiting for the flames to extinguish, our third of the top 3 players in the world, and the third of which that's playing in a 0-1 matchup today. He's going to try and take the helm through middle. Cap in the smoke. Sunny gets one. Fallen trades it back. It's further, goes down. Bomb drop temporarily. They'll recover that. Fallen to do so. And Cold still wants to lead off. Shadow shows. Robs can't find the angle. Great entrance from Stewie as well. Toward B. Remember, B and Stewie. 6K, as it were, in Brazil. That was pretty insane. An ace in about 3 seconds, killing himself inside the flames while taking everyone down in front of him in the most chaotic of situations.
That was actually really cool. This was a great round from MiBR. There we go. Clean sweep. No one really fighting back at all on the Mousesports side. 4 players survive. MiBR with the B split, as we said. Very common strategy still, and they've got a bit of a variation on it. They throw the smoke to the left-hand side and towards CT spawn, as you can see right there. So it takes vision away from multiple CTs, and then it's just about hitting your shots at this point. And Fallen and Stewie have no problem doing that. Tarek watching the flanks, that's a great position to be in. He's watching out for people pushing long and indeed short as well. So that's actually very important to note, that he was watching both of those areas. Double AWP set up for the first time though, Matt. That's where the game really begins. They were going for a long take here. They might still commit. All 5 players outside of long right now for MiBR. Good smoke from Snacks. Like we said, he likes to play up close and personal here, but he might find himself in a spot of bother. Hasn't been his best in the fragging department recently, and it won't get any better just yet, as he'll go down quickly to Fur. Unlucky with the flash, but he was by himself. No real setup there, just standing in the open and seeing whether he could get one before going down. Not that compelling. Now they have long control. Cold Zero now watching for the flanks. They don't have to overcommit to this. They can drop the smokes like this and just wait to see what the reaction is. They've done 2 smokes on the crossover. So is this a massive fake, or do they want to actually commit to this? They are going to start probing towards the A sides. Need to be crossing the next 5 seconds or so just to make sure they have time. They are going to let those smokes go down. Interesting. Okay.
Double smoke. Cap in it even still, but they'll get across before any threat comes from that, before Sunny had position on the ramp down below. He wants to play the backside of the smoke, potential to get flashed through when the bomb plant does occur. Nade up to weaken Stewie, but as nades work in CSGO, it lands beside the box. There's the flash and the take from Sunny. He's traded out immediately by Tarek, who holds off the car, and that is the signaling for save on the Mousesports side, as Chris J wants to keep the up. So too does Oscar. Double up set up on Dust 2. We mentioned it is extremely powerful in the right situation, and they don't want to give that away too soon.
Great stuff from MiBR. Very simple procedure at the start. Decent spawn, didn't necessarily commit to it. All 5 players outside long, waiting for the initial grenades to come through. Flash over, allow 30 at the first pick, and Snacks didn't really put up much of a fight there. And they get that kill. They baited out the grenades. I think that was the initial idea with the 2 smokes of crossover, just to bait out reaction, see who would try and push down and flash through and get a kill. Maybe even suggest it is a fake. Then smoke it again, go through together, and it all works out very nicely in the end. Well played. 3-2. That's MiBR will be up against the 2 saved AWPs this time. Robs to the M4 as well. Will Sunny and Snacks commit to the force buy and join their teammates here? Yet to be seen. I'd like to see them get more than just a default pistol at least. Sunny with a P250, Snacks with nothing. Gonna stick on that USP. He'll be boosting them up at the start, I guess. And they'll try and push for a kill towards short. Maybe boost up the AWP and look towards lower B. That's where Fallen's heading. So we'll see if there's anything there for Oscar and Snacks.
So far, nothing to be found, but Fallen gets down, after which they gave up the position, and Oscar was looking up middle instead of down below where he should have been. So MiBR finding the opening pick yet again. Ops are still in play because Snacks is able to pick up one from Oscar after it was dropped. Chris J was spotted. He's aware of that now as they fire back in, and Fallen standing by once again, rotating all the way from under back toward T-Spawn. Is able to catch him retreating to middle. So great dynamics once again from Fallen. They talked about how shifty he was on Inferno yesterday. Doing it again here on Dust 2. So 3-on-2 in the score. 5-on-3 in the situation. Double up back in the hands at least for Sunny. manages to get through the door and get away with it.
So much time, such an advantage for MiBR. It would take an absolutely monstrous performance from the two players that aren't necessarily associated with the AWP on this team. Snack's definitely capable, as he's demonstrating right now. This is much better. Looking for his third right now. There is a gap as well. coldzera knows it. He hits the third shot, doesn't get the kill. It's right in the kneecap there. So at least they do cross towards the site, and somehow Snacks has given them the advantage here, and even more so now. Tarek will drop. coldzera 15 HP. Snacks looking to finish it in style with the jumping shots here. Can't get carried away. You're up against coldzera. Definitely capable of converting these sort of rounds. Diffuse kit available. Flashbangs too. coldzera waits patiently. Surely got no say in the situation here. He'll be taken down eventually. It would take something absolutely wonderful here. Sunny will finish things off. It's Snacks to save the day. A 3 versus 5 converted in Mousesports' favor. And I wanted to build that up in the way I did because Snacks in VP was known as the more chaotic AWPer within the squad. There's normally Pasha doing the primary AWPing, but when Snacks picked it up, you knew some fireworks to go off. He's going to go for something super aggressive. He's certainly capable of hitting crazy shots, as you saw just then. Knew he had to find something there. That one was pretty standard, but it got very exciting at this point. Then he hits the crosser in the kneecap. That was it just there. And going for the jumping shots.
And the remarkable aspect of that is that the double op was gifted essentially to Mousesports twice. Yes. They actually killed it twice. They one on catwalk, you couldn't really hold them off of it, but the second one at doors, Fallen's already rotated off along. They're able to grab it again. Now it wasn't Snacks that picked it up, but it was still a 2-op setup toward the end of the round, and it's pulled back by Mousesports 4-2-2. Oscar holding the wall as Tarek tried to go very quickly toward long. They'd gone unchallenged at the cave. Carelessly through the smoke, and Tarek has fallen down already. That was a pun as we were looking at Fallen's point of view, Henry. Just thought I'd point that out for you.
It's always good to do that. Just in case
it makes the jokes so much better. The good jokes are the ones you have to explain.
You have to explain every single time, yeah.
Exactly.
Well, this means you're smarter than everyone. They just don't get you.
Well, that's obvious.
5-on-4. Tarek does go down initially. Oscar starting to get warmed up now. Fallen looking for the kick response. It looked like he nailed the shot, but it went for the corner of the wall, I believe. Either way, Oscar, 20 HP. Live to fight another day. They'll commit towards long. One flashbang over. They have got the smokes to cross as well as the flash. It's a commitment. Snacks with the incendiary. Doesn't actually...
Yeah, not far enough. I don't think any of it went through. Got extinguished on detonation. Stewie does get down Oscar as a result of crossing over, and Oscar was not ready for the position. Sunny wants to retake from long, but caught with a nade out, not ready for the gun. Fallen times his peak to perfection. And it's now the man advantage with a bomb planted to MiBR, looking to recover for the last round. As Stewie holds the bottom side of the ramp, they've got Elevator watched from above at Goose. Together they converge. Stewie's able to take down Chris J. Even still, Cold was on top of the site. And it's Romps to try and stay alive. 1 versus 4. No up being carried over this time, and I don't even think that M4 will make it. As Cold confirms, it's now 4-3. MiBR making up for the last one, you could argue. And a small, it's not a reset in terms of overall rounds, but it is a financial reset in some ways for Mousesports.
Back and forth we go. 4-3, Mousesports certainly comfortable on Dust 2. We've seen some great games from them in the past, but Fallen, this suits his playstyle absolutely perfectly. Mousesports will buy him to the round somewhat.
Sunny could afford the op, so they've elected to force around it and give it to Oscar.
Wow. Oscar's going to have to deliver here. Like I said, I haven't been super impressed in the last few months. 2018 has been a great year for him, don't get me wrong. I think he's a fantastic player, as he does find the first kill there. Stewie will go down first, and Oscar wanted a little bit more, but coldzera, he's smarter by the looks of things. 2 kills for him. Very fast reactions, great aim. Snacks can't replicate it. And now a 4 versus 2.
Oh, no. He's low on HP. Oh, he's just barely going to get out of that. He's forced forward. He has to fight. Cold has 10 and nearly gets taken down by his teammate. I said smart because I didn't think Oscar would actually be given the chance to run away as Romps tries to go aggressive on the B side and spawns out Fallen. And posting back up at the stairwell, if they chased him, they wouldn't have spotted him, and he may have got the shot off. But Cold, you're right, was 1 step ahead of that, quite literally, as he shoulder baited out the position and then took down the shot on Oscar. So that was very well done.
Indeed.
Even if Fur wanted him to die. Was it Fur through the... No, I don't think it was Fur. I think it was actually Tarek. Either way, bomb remains planted on the A site and shall remain planted on the A site. That is how the cookie crumbles, as you would say, Henry.
As I would definitely say. 4-on-2, and Mousesports saving the M4. UMP combo this time, no double orbs, I'm afraid. And speaking of which, MiBR have got one. It's one of the few maps where double orbs are actually quite viable. You've also got the gap opportunity at the very start. Then have one of them head towards B tunnels, one of them hold middle/long. No problem, that works. I have no issues with that. And they might have thrown it away, I'm not sure. They are distributing weaponry out now. That's coldzera getting it done towards short. That first shot to take down Oscar especially. Ooh-wee. Not bad at all. 4-4. MiBR waking up. Now there's a secondary orb, so it was carried over. And we'll see if they can get some damage done. Not going for the double gap shot, actually. It's going to be coldzera trying to use a quicker spawn. Fallen aware they could be going towards lower B. As 2 players make their way in, trying to pincer towards the tunnel tip. But look at the defensive positioning from Tarek. Yanko's got these boys drilled by those things. That's how you should be positioned, exactly like that in this sort of round. You do not want to be in the tunnels. One flash and you could be absolutely wrecked. You have full control from T-spawn and you have no danger of dying.
There he is, walking back and forth behind his troops.
Oh.
They've decided not to show you his face anymore and just his body. No longer in illustrious suits. I wonder what he's going to do with all those suits now.
That's the problem, isn't it? He's probably got about 20 suits he's used for broadcast. They really are
I think he should go all out and be the coach in suits.
That's a good idea.
Just do it. Well, another round going to MiBR.
Football coaches and stuff, they wear the suits and the touchline and stuff.
Football coach. Oh, sorry, you're thinking real football, not American. Yeah, sorry. So the American game that's not played with your feet at all and is actually played with pig skin, which there's something about in the Bible that if you play with a dead pig, you should go to. Anyway, they don't. They wear like Bill Belichick and stuff. They wear like windbreakers and stuff. Yeah. But hockey, they wear suits.
I think that'd be quite a cool idea. Look a bit weird, I think, in CS initially. But it's an interesting idea. Either way, MiBR looking very comfortable now last few rounds. They've run away with. Money's been a bit of an issue for the Mousesports side, but they have saved an AK here. There's Fur, coldzera, and indeed Fallen. The Brazilian troops within MiBR, and then the North American counterparts there. So we get into round number 10. Double orb setup still for Fallen and coldzera. Now these are the sort of setups, when you're the in-game leader or even the coach, you probably haven't prepared or have specific setups when you have double orbs. But it's definitely, you get a bit hyped when it starts coming through. It's just something about it on Dust 2, it just works. You can hold individual angles and just work your normal defaults, and it's a little bit difficult to handle on the CT side, especially when you've got Christiana scouts going through his flight path here towards short, but Oscar is there. It needs to be flashed off, and indeed he is. Perfectly done. MiBR dissecting the map now as they have short control. Didn't go for long this time. But Chris J, not the orb. He's got the lesser of the sniper rifles with the scout. It's a bit more mobile, but does significantly less damage. Needs a headshot for a kill. As we look towards another B approach. A contact towards B is very viable in this version of Dust 2. You can just walk in and overwhelm the CTs on the other side, especially if they jump up like that and offer themselves up. Fallen plucks Chris J out of the air as he tried to get towards the platform. That could be the round in itself, because they have no real say in this. Look at the utility, or the lack thereof, of the CTs map. They can't really justify a retake here with just one kit and one smoke, one flash. I think they just have to save.
One of the hardest sites to retake in the game, in my opinion. The B site is so hard to get back into without utility especially. So yeah, it's 4 players still up. It's 9 alive in the round. Bomb just now planted, and we've already reached the conclusion in terms of where the score is going to be set. It'll go 6-4. But what we don't know is how many guns will make it that far. As Fur's taken down by Sunny, waiting on the ramp. No one else really that close as of yet to take guns away. But Cold getting aggressive with the op, gets tagged and dropped.
Certainly does. coldzera taken down, but the spirits of MiBR are still high, as if now their 4th round in a row on the T side of Dust 2. I'd say it is more T-sided if you had to ask me, but Dust 2 has always been one of those enigmatic maps. It's really difficult to say what the rules are. Anything goes, really. It's a real brawl, spawn-based gameplay. So 4 players from Mousesports survive, only 2 for MiBR, but they take the round victory. Nice little B approach there. Like I said, as soon as they got that 1 kill, you couldn't even justify going for the retake. But saving the weapons actually looks quite promising now. They've got a double orb set up, an AK, 2 M4s. Mousesports should be in a better position now. But look at the decent spawn. Can we make sure we watch coldzera at the beginning of next round? Because he's got one of those godlike spawns. And yeah, we're ready for this. He's got the AK in hand. He knows what he has to do here. Knife out. Maybe a teammate flash over. He's going for that one tap. Snacks sometimes plays passively, will flash and smoke from a defensive position, but if he wants to cross over to the pit, could be in a lot of trouble. There's Snacks on your screen right now. Loss bonus almost a maximum, as you can see. The middle of your screen there, 2900 goes up to a maximum of 3400 after losing 5 rounds in a row. There's Sunny, one of the key fraggers for Mousesports. Need to see him come online officially if they're going to recover from this. Currently has 9 frags, not playing bad at all. But coldzera, I can guarantee he will be going for this kill. Let's see if they want to throw flashes with it as well. Off he goes. There's the initial utility used. And there is going to be presence there. They want to challenge him here.
Oh, that's...
Okay.
Your reaction was great. Oscar just absolutely obliterates Cole.
Okay, well, I really built that up in a horrible way.
Well, you know what? It just showcased the other side of the tale.
Yeah.
Sonny gets Burr, who went aggressive on Catwalk, and he makes amends on Tarek as well, because 2 players in that direction, with the aggression that MiBR was showing, could have potentially opened up a chance to get toward the A site. Bomb now down on Catwalk with both Fallen, although he gets Rops. And Stewie left alive. Molotov goes out. Sonny's tagged by it, has to go forward, but Chris just barely gets an angle to catch out Fallen. Round should, okay, careful, still go the way of Mousesports, bringing us back within 1 as Stewie was spotting Sonny, but is spotted in turn, and Chris comes over to do the deed instead.
I'm so interested to know, did Oscar get there before the smoke and then line it up and wait for the timing?
Or if he just knew the
or did he
lineup.
Clearly run up to a
Well,
smoke?
sometimes what you can do, right, and you'll know about this as well. You can, okay, so he did actually get there before this. That's sick. That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, that is vomit levels of sick.
Yeah.
Sometimes what you can do, even if the smoke's out, is if you know a marking on the wall,
Yeah, indeed.
and you just know how to strafe with your crosshair on that marking.
Sure.
And a lot of players do that. Like,
Yeah.
that's no surprise to you or anyone listening, I'm
No,
sure.
That's just the way he looked so convinced he was going to get that kill with the shot. Like, it was just no problem. Oh, he's there. I was going to take him down. That was kind of sick. But like I said, the double AWP setup looking much better now. When Chris and Oscar are hitting their shots, it's very difficult to break them down. coldzera here, looking towards shore. I think that was a little boost there, doing a lower B to C towards shore. That's quite a cool idea. CT sometimes have a bit of an edge with only a tiny bit of the head showing. Take that away. Fallen waiting for an opportunity here. That should be a smoke. One of the deadliest angles to face is a CT, especially if you don't have the AWP or a flash to go with it. Trying to challenge that door area really isn't a good idea. So smoking it whenever you can, whenever it feels like a good time to do so, always advise. Sunny will be outside the B bomb sites. There'll be 2 players inside. They've gambled quite heavily towards B. Chris J, Robs, and Sunny on that side of the map. Applies a lot of pressure towards Oscar now. Incredible AWPer. Comfortable on the A side, but if he misses one of these shots, which is quite likely, you'll see a barrage of flashbangs come in any second now. If he misses one of them, they're going to plant for sure. They might have to save again. 3 players still at B for Mousesports. Here are the flashes. You can see how difficult they are to handle. Smoke in front of him now as well. He's done for.
Yep. Somehow the smoke...
What?
Okay, I thought he hit that too. Sonny keeps him alive. The smoke's going to actually give him a bit of a chance here. It's still behind him. There's a timer on the play. He gets actually caught out by Fallen in the end. I thought if he waited and watched long, he might get the shot instead, but now bomb planted. Little was Oscar to do about denying that. It was more if he could maybe miraculously pull off one further kill and give them a chance. Chris already back toward B. Rops holding behind the door long. That tells us all we need to know. It's going to go MiBR 7-5. This will be a 4-round reset against Mousesports. So important to keep every weapon up. More so the AWP. And Sunny alive with $5,500 left over will be able to drop in the next round. So they'll be able to avoid catastrophe so long as they can keep these 3 guns up. Which it looks as though they will do.
There we have it. MiBR, textbook execution there. Mousesports, the gamble towards B really didn't pay off for them at all, but they do have 3 players surviving, that's fine. Here's Tarek dueling Snacks along. That's such a key battle. Everyone knows Snacks plays by those doors. Fallen hitting some very key shots as well. So there we go. There he is, the man himself, the father figure of the Brazilian scene. And Fallen's got the spawn this time. It's actually a lot better with the AWP. To go for this pick. Let's see if it works out for him. He gets his head blown off by Oscar. Let's have a look. There it is. That's what we were looking for. You flash over, use that spawn, and he's actually going to boost Tarek up here. That's a great little spot just to hold up and wait for any sort of reaction. That's what Tarek does in his defaults, is hold long, so why not? Get him up there and he'll have a huge advantage, especially on a map like Dust 2. If you lose the first pick especially, you have to react. You need to reclaim map control. You need to either get long back in your favor or B tunnels, for example. You can't really allow MiBR to fully execute and have everything available to them. So Tara getting up there, waiting for reaction makes a lot of sense. And here's the reaction I'm talking about. Sunny, he's trying to at least get a kill back towards short, look at lower. They cannot rest on their laurels and allow a full MiBR team to make their way to a particular bomb site. He needs to try and shut them down if he can. Sick flash from Chris, but couldn't quite convert it.
No, couldn't. Fallen, I think it was just high of him, so he still had a little bit of vision, fires the shot back, and now MiBR, despite that I said they could avoid catastrophe and actually keep some money in their favor, is now struggling tremendously because it snacks on a site on the ramp that has to hold off everyone heading that direction. Tarek comes out from long before there's really anything that could be done in the position of Snacks, and Rops is on the run.
Well, not really much he can do with this one, I'm afraid. He will get at least one nice kill there towards the tunnels. That's Stewie going down. But overall, another successful one for MiBR there. They are going to, at this point, reset Mousesports. They had a really decent round before, but the reinvestment with grenades has left them in a compromised position. Rops will have to save the AWP here. He's currently on 3 kills, 3 deaths. Hasn't really had much to do. He's normally on the B side of the map and hasn't had a lot of action, to be honest.
I can relate.
Tarek, indeed. And looks like Tarek might be able to take him down here. A missed no-scope will confirm it. Money in the proverbial bin now. That has to be an eco for the last round, I would say, at this point. As we'll get into round number 14. They can't really justify much more than maybe P250s or CZs. They need double orbs again to finish this one off, I would say.
Fallen, looking back, this time was able to find Oscar, who was probably riding high on confidence from the previous round, but caught out in the same position. That's always an interesting battle to me. It's very intriguing. I mean, there's so many fast positions. I mean, you said it when this was picked in the video before we were on camera. You said this will be fast because these two teams, these style of AWP players, there's just so much available to it on Dust 2. You get the mid-cross, you've got the A-long battle, you can rush out toward Catwalk, potentially, like, you know, Guardian used to get boosted and run there with the op. There's a lot available to them, including this, which is a push-up Catwalk late from the CTs to try and catch out the weapons, mind you, against pistols, but to catch out MiBR at long. Tarek seems to have an idea that this is happening, and that's a very, very obvious shadow.
Yep.
Foretelling.
Shadows are a thing.
Foreshadowing.
Oh, nice. There you go. So the bomb, not going to be rushed towards the site. Tarek gets another shadow cue there. Some players do forget you can't actually see your own shadow in CSGO, so it is actually quite difficult to remember how obvious it can be. So you'd think looking at the floor, like, I'm fine here, but areas like that can be a bit of an issue. Flashes come in. For displaying his aim and spray control. It's actually getting a little bit awkward here before they finishes things off. Doesn't matter how many men they lose, they've got more than enough money for the last round. Doesn't really mean too much. And here we go then. Scouts are out. There's an AWP for Oscar.
Scoots are out.
Scoots are out. And it will be Oscar, 7 kills, 8 deaths. Chris J, 7. Not really what I was expecting from them on the Dust 2 CT side. 7 kills. Probably, what, 2 or 3 of them of AWPs?
Here we go.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Dack, 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 dack.
Here it comes.
It's like playing Duck, Duck, Goose.
You will not cross the beam.
Well, they will, actually, yeah.
Yeah, you'll get over completely unscathed. So don't worry about that.
And they'll swap those weapons back naturally. Well, at least one of them to an AK. Tarek seems to want to hold his. Still firing it. You can hear it echoing off in the background.
You throw a decoy down after buying one of those. You have them scared for 20 seconds. Let's go. Do that. 5 decoys. All auto snipers.
Stewie waits down below at Cat for anyone that's going to push back out and try and find information. A bit more of a default that we're used to seeing from Mousesports this time. Car, long, a swing rotation from on the A site. You could say that it's a little bit further away in the fact that it is, in fact, Sunny holding closer to the mid side of CT spawn. So Molotov's thrown both directions. No one's going to be walking through mid doors for at least the next 10 seconds. Good find from Oscar, considering they were waiting for that position the whole time.
Well, here we go. Recovery mode for MiBR. Mousesports opening pick. Great shot from Oscar. Snacks tagged at the start, remember. Got caught crossing over to that pit. Now best off to staying in it. Only show his head. Actually opts to stand in the open. Interesting decision with that one. Maybe caught in transition. Oscar with flames around him, but knows his presence towards long. Perfect flashman. The teamwork's actually looking really good for MiBR. They're not making many mistakes here.
Very tricky position for Oscar to play without anyone to support that. If he doesn't have anyone behind him. Jump shot Chris twice, not likely. Fallen ready for it. And Cold already out toward long. The positions fall apart. Oscar had nowhere to hide, nothing to really work with. It's Rops, young superstar, Estonian, who's now dead.
I think he's the youngest player in the tournament.
I was wondering that because, you know, obviously he is absolutely in the top 5 youngest, but we've had so much more younger talent coming through lately. But I had to look at the challengers, and I think you're right. I think it still is Rops. 10-5 nonetheless. MiBR in the lead.
MiBR in the lead. And we will see the second half begin. Ladies and gentlemen, Mousesports with it all to play for here. Looking down the barrel of 0 and 2 here.
Estonia is an interesting story within CSGO, I suppose you could say.
Sure.
A country of about 1 million people, maybe just above that, I think. Near the Lithuania area and that demographic in the world. 3 players that have actually made their way into the pro scene, despite only having 1 million as a population.
It's always had a pretty decent community. In Source especially, we had 2 or 3 teams that are actually quite good from Estonia.
So HS and FETs, by the way, just the other 2 in case you're wondering.
They've definitely got a history within CS and CSGO. Young talents coming through. It is great to see, and that's why we love CS so much. You've got so much opportunities and talent coming through. Either way, we are going to have a fast A approach here, at least from Chris J, who takes a bullet in the face, I think, through the corner, so he will survive for now. 5 versus 5 at the moment, but not for long. Fallens are great today, and they will commit towards A. Cold's errors there, though. Looking to block off heads, doesn't have to with a low HP player coming in first. Trying to bait in Tarek, who sat towards a goose. He might even get opportunity here, Matt. Cold's errors taking every single kill for himself. Tarek gets a little slice of the action towards the end. You can see what it means to these boys.
I'd like to change my prediction.
What did you say at the start?
I said Mousesports.
You're the only one.
Listen, someone's got to do it. And I honestly think that they would have had a chance, and still maybe have a chance in this. We're not done yet by any means, but second pistol going against them is certainly going to hinder that. I think MiBR looks more drilled. Maybe Yanko certainly had something to offer to that team.
I think it is relief pressure of Fallen. Instead of him having to watch all the demos and focus on the team, he can actually play his own game now and have someone to fall back on.
Yeah, and even with Zeus, with Dead, they didn't have any sort of tactical coach.
But with Zeus,
they had a little bit, but he was still more of a manager. Sorry, what were we going to say?
Zeus, they won two majors, right? As soon as he
absolutely.
Left, the drop-off was quite significant. I feel like when Yanko comes in now, there's going to be maybe not straight away success, but they're going to look a lot better than they were.
Sometimes it takes that outside perspective.
Yeah. And if you're a star player like Fallen, his in-game leader, the AWPer, and now the strategist as well, it's all a little bit much.
Sometimes, it depends on the mentality, but sometimes you have an in-game leader with these great ideas who fails to identify the weaknesses, and that's where the coach can come in and say, actually, hang on, here's your bad habits you need to work on, as well as what you want to do and implement as the leader. So,
well, here we go. One flashbang and a short plant attempt coming in from Mousesports here. It's a pretty common approach. Tarek, this time towards long. Fallen will be the player baited in. Are they going to commit? Maybe not. Most teams go towards short because you can get that plant on the left-hand side of the bomb site. It's actually quite easy to get up there with a few missed shots. They're going to go for the contact B play, though. I talked about this earlier. This version of Dust 2, it seems a lot easier to just walk through and try and trade out kills. Stewie, we've seen some pretty unspeakable things. That's such a great smoke by him. They're going to be so gutted with that. Like 15 seconds, boys. Well, we'll just have to hold up, I guess.
Now throw a Molotov and ace them.
And kill yourself.
And die again inside of the Molotov. Careful, apparently you can't say that.
You know what I'm
2018. Stewie going to back away from it at this point with the MP9. I think he was a little bit discombobulated. He got shot, and I think he just responded. He got shot, and he didn't know where it was from, so I'll just hold mouse one and hope for the best.
This could fall apart.
Oh, that certainly could make it fall apart. Fur going to nade himself down to 84 as he wants to get back up into the window. Bomb already planted. Thankfully, Fallen's going to take some ground in the tunnels. That will segregate the players of Mousesports inside of the site because they now have to watch both sides as Romps nearly gives himself up. But he'll go with Chris Jake. They both had position to peek. Fur down, Tarek the next in line, and they're going to push out. Forget tunnels. Let's take everyone at middle. Let's get their weapons and then turn around. All we need is one player inside of the site to get the information. That's Romps, and they have to be careful not to lose him because then they're locked out at their own window. Romps gets one. They know exactly where Cold is. He's doing everything in his power to win this round. He does have a kit, but he's got no life. Oscar gets it, and we go 11-6. Good round from Mousesports. Bit of a miscommunication inside of B for Stewie.
Yeah, I guess just a moment of chaos there for a second because his teammate was at the door and obviously panicked. He had to smoke down. He assumed they wouldn't push through it, but those smokes are not force fields. A lot of players can allow that to happen sometimes, but there it is. Great stuff from Mousesports. Can't take anything away from this. Oscar finishes things off. That could be a resurgence now. We'll see if we can get back into it. It was looking like a death sentence after losing the pistol, but right back into it now. Fallen and coldzera to defend the long push from Oscar. Good grenades, actually not making their way in. Narrowly missing out there. That's unfortunate. As Sunny will actually take a lot of damage at the start of the round. I think he got tagged up by the scout of Tarek. But long control at least obtained. Tarek there on the CT ramp right now, just having a look around, trying to get up on the site. Spots one. Remember, hasn't got armor. Can't stick around if he's being shot. The aim punch will be too much, meaning his crosshair flings up in the air. If you have armor, it certainly reduces that factor. That's another. This is getting a little bit interesting now. If he can tag one more, he has softened them up significantly for the CZs and Deagles.
Tarek trying to find better positioning so as not to be too close for comfort when they get onto the ramp. He's got Cold alongside him. Good find from Tarek. Exactly that reasoning. As he drops the bomb out of the hands of Snacks, it's on the ledge. I don't quite know if Tarek can see it from his position or not, but it means they've got to re-grab it. Cold, good position. As Tarek did the earlier damage, he's able to collect on the Deagle. Headshot either way. Rops finally gets a kill in return. That will now allow for the plant. It's still a man advantage on the MiBR side. Okay. Problem is that they haven't picked up weapons. Fallen from down below with a CZ. This is not looking comfortable at all. 12 HP and 32 to try and hold off a retake of 4 players. They aren't going to flow into the site collectively and try and overwhelm, but Rops has now got problems. He's got to watch both angles, and Tarek and Fallen looking perfect.
What a round. Tarek, for me, stole the show there. Unbelievable. The Scouts was such a big talking point over in DreamHack Masters. So many players causing such damage. Maybe not so many kills, but it's the way it softens them up for the pistols is absolutely amazing. But that shot was anything but softening up. He completely wrecks the first player crossing over. Fallen converting it. I thought they would have a bit more hustle considering the bomb was ticking away, but very calculated as usual. And we'll go 12-6. P250's map. CZ's back in the doldrums. 13-6 looking likely. Rushing long. Be careful. coldzera and Tarek won't miss their nades this time, I don't think. Or maybe they will, actually. They've set the roof on fire.
No roof. The roof is on fire. We don't need no water because coldzera is going to spray down everyone. Tarek contributes. I take it back. Cold gets all the assists. Tarek gets all the kills. 4 for him. 1 for Cold. 13 rounds for MiBR. 3 to go before they go to a 1-1 scoreline. Mousesports would then fall to 0-2, joining that of FaZe Clan. Think about that for a moment. Nico's former team in the same situation that they would be in. Kerrigan's former team in a lifelong past.
Yes, indeed.
But still remarkable. I should say former organization. I guess it's kind of confusing because it's certainly not any of the players that were on that roster with him, aside from Chris. Okay, fair enough. Listen, I caught myself as you did.
Well, Mousesports need to catch themselves before they trip at this point. 13-6 down. Not looking too good. Smoke deployed at those doors now. Same boost we saw earlier in the half. Snacks this time trying to look above it. No one's going to be there, though. It's quite common for players to replicate their CT positions on the T side and the defaults because they have an understanding of how CTs might play it and how they can dissect it and things that work, things that don't, timings, little cues. It makes a lot of sense to bring that over to the CT side as well and T side. As Fallen holds towards short. Looking to be flashed here. Shouldn't just get a clean shot. There it is. The flash comes through, but he has got a teammate there baited in as well. This could be fantastic. coldzera looking for multiple kills here. My goodness, he's got them, and the bomb is down. Cut off as well by the incendiary. coldzera knows the bomb's there. It comes up on the radar once you kill the player with the bomb. And at this point, I don't see a way where MiBR lose this round.
Cold to just get aggressive and make sure he gets a further kill to confirm they're getting nowhere near that bomb. Rops down the last alive, 1 versus 4. Low HP enough on Tarek. Problem is that he has to find it. Tarek does. Very quick reactions. Not at all ready for Fur to be on the doorstep behind. It's 14 now to 6. So day 2 getting close to the end. Our team's now set at either, well, this is obvious, but listen, I gotta say it. 2-0, 1-1, or 0-2. Our draw comes up after the desk segment, which follows immediately after this game. So it's not long away at this point. Everyone will find out who they play tomorrow.
Desperate times for Mousesports. A couple of AKs, everyone full support. And they're rushing along again. Fallen and Tarek have had their number, but might yield at this point and fall back. And indeed they do. Sometimes it's best to do that. Instead of just challenging and being stubborn about it, when you feel like you won't have the impact required or you just get one and fall down, not really worth it. But this probably is. Fur, great positioning there. Pushes in, had a teammate with him to trade out if it went wrong. Gets the kill. Might guarantee the round. Fallen, great position considering the weaponry he's up against.
Oh, wait. Ooh. Somehow not collect even a leg shot based on the movement mechanics in the air. Fallen does go back out to find Oscar, however, and he's ready for the approach on the ramp. Ooh. He's so quick and so damn alert. And he knows they're there, but not ready for Snax' Deagle. They are with the boost. Coldzera, backside of the wall, an old school boost that catches out both Snax and Sunny. Map point, MiBR.
Love the stuff. Mousesports now. That was the last few attempts. Both of them just rushing long. Hasn't really worked out for them, to be fair. The money was low. A couple of AKs, almost no grenades. Fallen getting it done there. Close range, that's more like it from him. He's been missing that the last couple of months. Well, I should say the last month has looked great. Maybe the earliest start of the year. Double scout setup. 9 rounds in a row required. I don't think this is done just yet. We'll see. Sometimes these are the rounds that really work out for you. Get a Mac 10, you rush long, get your head blown off. Not what I was expecting there. The bomb goes down. Coldzera has played like an absolute savage in this particular outing. Really has looked good. 4 versus 2. I think we're coming to our logical conclusion. Perhaps not. Rops does pull one back. That's Coldzera taken care of. They're going to head towards B, and that's currently open. Stewie's going to rotate in. He's got the AK-47. Gets 1 kill. That is going to be game. But let's have a look.
Well, so far, no such luck. They're trying to go either side of the box to find him, but he's figured that out. Got the one-on-one Oscar down. Game done. Stewie confirms it with 2 Ks. And it's 16-6 for MiBR. They come back to level footing. So too, as we saw Na'Vi do in the previous game. Mousesports now fall victim to yet another team and find themselves facing elimination. Remember, tomorrow we could have, well, we will have 2 teams going through and 2 teams going home. But we could have a team that a lot of people probably had going through to the top 8 already departing.
I had to double check the screen there. I just thought for a second, what's Yanko doing there? I still really haven't got used to it. Great game.
I didn't see him. I missed my chance.
No, it was weird. It's like, it was just a real strange moment for me. There he is, absolutely. So shaking the hands, Mousesports, not their best showing here. It's been the case for a lot of teams you'd expect to go very deep at this event so far. Like you said, not the end of the road though. 0-2, not a great place to be, but plenty of teams have come back from that before and even gone on to win the tournament at some point. So
Cloud9.
Cloud9. So it's never over until it's over. You've got to keep fighting, keep grinding, and Mousesports definitely have the capabilities to go even further. I'm sure they'll be absolutely fine. Time will tell, though. It's going to be a scary 0-2 position.
And we're going to find out who plays who coming up very shortly.
Yeah.
There is a chance Mousesports could play FaZe, which is
It's scary, isn't it? 2
that was
international
almost
squads.
It was almost a little rivalry last year. You go back to ECS just over, or just under, I guess, a year ago, Mexico. We were in Cancun, played in the final. Mousesports actually managed to win that, and they've played multiple times and had pretty good affairs in that sense.
Well, Matthew, it's been a lot of fun. That's the end of the day for Counter-Strike, but we do have one more lovely interview for you. I believe it's the winners, of course, Tarek and Fallen Down with Freya.
Yes, that is right, Henry. I'm here with the winning side, MiBR. So, guys, you had a loss yesterday, a close loss against Tyloo. Can you tell me what it felt like coming off of that?
It felt like that was the only loss we're going to have in the entire tournament. Tyloo's their best. They know how to play the game, and we just lost ourselves in the T side, and it's props to them. They played a good game. And of course, we didn't exact everything like we could, but that doesn't matter in the test. Like, what matters is Tyloo played a perfect game on the T side, and they beat us.
Yeah, because you guys seemed a lot more confident on that T side. Was that something you were focusing on coming into this game?
Yeah, I think we had a really good game plan going into those 2, and we knew it would be the map. And Yanko and Fallen put some stuff together, and everything worked out perfectly. I think we're happy with that T side for sure.
I just briefly want to pick up on Yanko. He's been the newest addition to this team. What has he brought coming from, I mean, he was a player, observer, analysis, and now coach?
So Yanko first, everyone knows, he knows about it, and a lot about the game because of all the analysis he's been doing on the couple last tournaments for the last 1 or 2 years. And I can speak for myself, I always recognize it with the things he said, and I kind of saw CS in the same way. And I think like 1.5 years ago, I think I made a joke, like if someday Yanko's going to be a coach, he's going to be coaching or something like that. And in the end, it just planned out that he became our coach, and that's his first job as one lately. And the things he adds the most, is most likely helping us in the preparation for games, like to studying our opponents and taking a look on which map should we go for it, and is there something very different that we should be looking for. But I think the daily job that he does every day, making sure everyone's on the line, putting this extra effort has to be put. When someone does something wrong, he's there to really, to tell you, hey, you can't do that, that's not good for us and stuff like that. So he knows how to be the bad cop, and I think our team was missing a little bit for that, because we're just too friendly, like we are playing for so long together. Now we have the Americans here, but you create a bond and a relationship in 3 or 4 years that it's hard for you sometimes to really charge someone of something, and I think having someone from outside doing that is helping us a lot.
Yeah, because I was at the boot camp that you guys were at in Copenhagen, and he seemed to be very focused and very driven for you guys. Were you able to implement some of the strategies and stuff you practiced in Copenhagen in this game?
Yeah, I think the boot camp was really important for us. We played probably close to 50 maps and got us a lot of experience playing together. I'm fairly new to the team, so the boot camp was really effective because now I have a better understanding of how we play. And now I feel a lot more comfortable, and I think also everyone else, they know how we want to play, and also easier for Fallen to call because everyone is under the same system. So the boot camp was really helpful.
Yeah, I just wanted to pick up on that. You had a phenomenal game against Mouse. So have there ever been any communication issues? Because obviously it's a predominantly Portuguese-speaking team. Are you guys now kind of on the same page?
I would say very rarely, 5% of the time where there's a slip up. But at this point, Counter-Strike communication is really simple. We've had a lot of practice now, and I think the guys have picked it up to the point where the communication isn't really an issue for us.
So going into tomorrow, you now have 1 win under your belt, which is crucial. Are you feeling a lot more confident?
Yeah, definitely. I think the confidence gets back a little bit after receiving that comeback from Tyloo. You kind of shake yourself a little bit, but you have to think long term. And this tournament, what matters in the first stage is getting the 3 wins. I can guarantee you that teams that go 3-0, they might not even win the major. It doesn't matter much. Those guys are the best examples of that. They went 0-2 last major in Boston, and they made up to the finals and beat FaCe where nobody expected. So everything is up to grab, and we have to keep ourselves with a good mentality and understand that on those high situations with high pressure, you have to take our time and act smartly so we can win those games.
Cool. Thank you very much for that, guys, and congratulations again on that win. Alex, what do you make of that over on the desk?
Enlightening. That tells us a whole lot, if anything, just about Janko and of course what he's doing for the team. The communication issues, we can stop using that as much of an excuse as well as a discussion topic. They seem to have that one down pat, and this was a real nice performance from MiBR. 16-6 at the end of the result.
Fun little tidbit, we sat down here for the entire game listening to that communication, and the MiBR guys were a lot more vocal. We could hear them a lot clearer than the Mousesports players, but their communication was crisp. There wasn't really any issues with it at all. There was maybe one bad call that probably came in, and that was whatever led Stewie away from upper dark in that second half to help Fur towards middle, and that was the only point in there was any poor or miscommunications, at least from our end.
I thought that was Sunny's flash. I thought Sunny's flash had baited him into that.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Fur was already outside the bomb site, and Stewie also
Yeah,
rotated
there definitely
over.
was a lapse in communication on that round. I mean, Chad and I went back and forth the entire time. Stewie's communication is so on point, so descriptive and concise, and Coldzera as well, asking for flashes. On the round where he aggressed Cat, I mean, it was a treat to listen to.
It was so much fun as well. I mean, the fact of the matter is, when you take a look at that scoreboard, yes, Stewie, bottom of the scoreboard, he had 2 good, fantastic rounds to watch. And Tarek, he said he's feeling a lot more comfortable, of course, the newest addition to this roster, and I'm sure that boot camp did wonders for him. I mean, he seemed to express it quite beautifully and concisely in his interview. I know where everyone's on the same page, so we're all as a team, we're going to feel stronger.
You could definitely see that in their game plan on that T side as well. They felt like they knew what they were doing, and there was a couple of times where the rounds could have gotten really messy, but that was more by Mousesports doing. But from what you could see, the guys from MiBR were ready and raring for any aggression. That seems to be the play. Okay, well, when they lose a man, they're going to go aggro. They're going to go for a pick here. They're going to go from aggression here. And they seemed like they were ready for it in every single situation.
Yeah, and in our head-to-head, we had Oscar and Fallen. Now, of course, it does seem like Oscar has fallen off. Haven't quite seen that flair from this fantastic star AWPer from Mousesports just yet here in London. There's still plenty of time, but Mousesports slip into the danger zone. His performance comparison to Fallen's, I mean, Fallen was 20 kills to 8 deaths. Not sure how much of the AWP was in his hands, though.
Quite a bit, actually. He picked Oscar on Cat one round from lower B. He picked Oscar at long once from the double doors.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, he was all over the place, actually. Fallen had a really good game here.
Just with Oscar, if you're that A AWP player, you're playing swing, right? You're in that car area. If your long anchor is dying, then you have a really big decision to make, right? Do you now commit to long and go for that duel, or do you just sit and hope that you can dance around the smokes and make as many kills as possible? It's a really weird position to get caught in limbo. Yeah. And for some reason, towards the end of that first half, they were cheating an extra man towards middle, right? Yeah. They felt like they wanted to have a lot more presence towards B and middle, but the guys from MiBR just were mainly attacking A.
Yeah, MiBR had a really good read and game plan going into this match. You can tell they made it a point to hit the A bomb site a lot. Other than that first mid-B split that worked, and maybe that's what they want to do. Maybe they wanted to show B pressure early and then hit A pretty much every round.
Hey guys, look what we can do.
Yeah.
And then
we'll never do that again, actually.
Yeah, that's actually the only time you're going to see it. Yeah, mind games, I mean, for sure. You have got a demo clip for us, Chad. I want to take a look at it.
Yeah, it was one of the strats that we saw coming out from MiBR on their T side, and this was a double pump. They were able to get long control quite easily, get the kill onto Snacks, and from there they were very poised. They waited, and they actually used 2 waves of attack here. So as soon as they grabbed this kill, they're calling here. The actual calling was, you know, he's blind, he's blind. They push on out. They're able to grab this frag. From here, they wait. They just posture. They don't do anything. Now they're going to double smoke long cross, and this is normally enough to bait out any utility or any reaction from the CTs. You can see they've been kept completely honest. They haven't done anything. So now when this second wave comes through, you're going to see Molotovs onto the bomb site as well as the smoke. So anybody in the bomb box, anybody over towards quad, are not able to pick and stop them here. Completely Molotoving off the bomb site. They get it down quite easily, and at this point, they have to do something random. A push through the smoke will come in. He's going to die, but now they just have to opt to save. They're locked out of the bomb site, and that's just fantastic utility usage. They're able to maintain map control throughout and keep Mousesports.
Was that 4 smokes on an execute?
Yeah, so they use 2.
Yeah.
Yep. The first wave is to bait out anything they had or a reaction. The second wave is then, you know, obviously to cross. The Molotovs stop anybody from disrupting them getting into the bomb site. And then from there, you know, it's very difficult to get into a retake without a lot of utility as the CTs.
Yeah, speaking of 4, from 4 smokes to 4 frags, we do have your play of the day. It was brought to you by the Predator, and this was a scorcher. There's lots to choose from when you've got some of the world's best clashing in the server, but today's play of the day, brought to you by the Predator, was Bondic. And this one was rather spicy. I mean, the shot through the smoke, it all just pieces together so cleanly, just back and forth through the pillar. So Skadoodle was putting his face to his keyboard after that one.
Yeah, it came at a really big point in this match. This match was super close. Hellraisers losing both pistols, which is becoming a staple of their overpass games. They don't care about losing pistols, though.
Yeah. We always talk about Bondic having impact late in games, and the same as Dead Fox there, you know, so that's a great round to have and such a pivotal moment.
It was. Now, I don't want to take away your analysis time because we've got the draw coming up, and I figured we'd spend most of that time now just wrapping up any loose ends you feel like you had from Mousesports versus MiBR, but we have to bring that bracket up as well, because if you've just joined us, you missed all the action for another day here in London, but don't worry, the VODs will be available. And if I asked our analysts which one, aside from the most recent game, of course, Na'Vi FaZe, is that the one that tip of your tongue, Sean? Which one do they go check out?
Those last 2 games in particular were really good. MiBR showed a lot of promise, but yeah, the FaZe Na'Vi game, both of those teams came to play today. I can't imagine a tournament with FaZe getting knocked out after seeing them like that today.
It's in a bit of a weird place for them right now, but I think maybe even, I don't know how I'm possibly saying this, but Complexity versus G2, if you want to watch bomb site execute after bomb site execute. Yeah. So that's something to look at.
Well, all of the teams are going to be looking at this because it is time for the draw. Let's get our heads around this one. Rold is ready to do his thing, and so we will be providing you with some insight and I imagine some reactions because there's going to be some madness going on here. So this is, of course, with the Buckhold system in place as well. Therefore, it is a little more clear cut. And I imagine just for proceeding's sake, we're going to be seeing even the ones which are locked in. Speaking of complexity, they're up first.
So there's a 50-50 chance that we see Astralis versus Liquid here, which would mean we could have Complexity versus Big, which would give one British player straight into the playoffs.
Oh,
so
we could actually right now know if there's going to be a UK player in front of the UK crowd.
Oh, it is.
Woo! UK Counter-Strike.
Okay, well, that means the other matchup has to be Astralis versus Liquid. That's the other 3-0, potential 3-0 matchup.
Play again.
Which is great, you know, that we get to see them come in a little bit earlier than we may have wanted. I think, you know, you obviously want the easiest run possible to get to that position. But in this regard, it'll be a good matchup.
It's going to be a great matchup, and it's going to be a real litmus test for what Liquid can do going up against Astralis in this form. Yep, Team Liquid and Astralis is locked in. So that's Complexity and Big, and Astralis Liquid. so far for the 2-0 teams. Moving on, looks like it's time for the 1-1s.
Here we have to get G2 versus MiBR, I believe, and Hellraisers versus Tyloo as 2 of the matches for the 1-1s.
Okay, you're saying that with a lot of conviction.
I'm pretty confident. I'm
that is correct.
Like 90% confident that is the case. So Na'Vi can play the likes of NIP, Fnatic, and Vega.
Na'Vi looking for their opponent.
The reason those 4 teams, they all have a score of 2-2, whereas G2 and Tyloo have a score of 3-1.
You're talking about the Buckhole system,
yeah, exactly.
not the win.
Yes, sorry.
Wow.
We have to go a little bit deeper here. So
Na'Vi
that's a big
Nip.
match.
That's Na'Vi versus
That's an
Nip.
incredible match.
Wow, I'm very interested to know how the Ninjas square up versus Na'Vi.
So that means that this matchup has to be Fnatic versus Vega.
Correct.
And based off of the banter coming out of the mouth of Draken today, I'm sure that the CIS teams are ready.
Ooh.
They can probably smell blood in the water.
Oh my goodness, he has been chatting a whole lot of smack. Now he's going to have to back it up in the server. Fnatic versus Vega Squadron is going to be coming up tomorrow.
Right, so just to reiterate the other matches, it will be G2 versus MiBR and Hellraisers versus Tyloo as the other 1-1 games.
Right.
So,
Hellraisers Tyloo?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That is a match that could be very spicy.
Okay, roll. Don't hesitate, man. You can keep rocking and rolling. You're doing a fantastic job there.
So there's a 50-50 chance here we get FaZe versus Mousesports, which would mean the other game is Cloud9 versus Windstrike.
But these are the elimination games.
Cloud9 versus...
These are the elimination games. FaZe looking for their opponent now. FaZe clan.
Please don't be
50-50 chance,
Mouse. Please don't be Mouse. Don't do it to us, Rolled.
Don't do that.
Don't
bring
do
him
it.
into this. It's nothing to do with him.
Oh,
my
it's happened! The last matchup will then be Cloud9 versus Windstrike.
Yeah, so Cloud9 versus Windstrike.
And keep in mind, one win and you advance to the next major.
Correct.
So that's a very, very important matchup for both of those teams.
So what you're telling me here, Sean, is there is going to be a game tomorrow, a single map of Counter-Strike between FaZe and Mousesports, and one of those teams will be at the minor.
Yes. We'll have to go through the minor.
If I see FaZe clan at the minor, I'm gonna my brain's gonna melt. It already is.
That is like the worst case scenarios on both extremes. You know, we could have had the likes of Big versus Liquid and Astralis versus Complexity, and then we could have had like FaZe versus Cloud9 and Windstrike versus Mousesports. But instead, we have the beefiest matches in both ends.
Yes. It's so exciting too, because even the next major has so many implications, right? Because could be so many NA teams coming to the next major via just
because of the
Cloud9, Liquid, Complexity, MiBR.
But let's leave the FaZe Mouse discussion and just talk about everything else just for a moment. Yes, Chad, I know. Complexity big, and one of these teams, one of Complexity and Big Clan, are guaranteed to be in the top 8 of this major. Breathe that in. Complexity, they came through the minors. They truly have climbed to the point of potentially getting to that top 8. Big stand in their way, though, and they will not go down easy. Astralis versus Team Liquid. That's in a matchup that every Counter-Strike fan who is truly a fan of good Counter-Strike will not want to miss. And into that 1-1. Now, this is intriguing. I'm not sure what I'm more looking forward to. Na'Vi Nip or Tyloo Hellraisers? I think that Tyloo Hellraisers is going to be such an intriguing clash of styles and aim.
I definitely think so as well. I mean, that's crazy that one of those teams is going to walk away with 2 wins. I'm so much looking forward to actually Cold and